If like attracts like were really true, then people with anxiety and depression would be. If you've ever heard that your thoughts create your reality and that you have to stay high vibe or think positive all the time, but it's not really working for you, then you need to listen to this. You've been taught that your thoughts create your reality, right? But that's not actually how it works. And believing that is the reason why so many people give up on manifestation altogether. Well, really personal development. Hey, I'm Tara, and I've studied manifestation, hardcore, and personal development since 2018. But more importantly, I have three mental health diagnoses of clinical depression, generalized anxiety, and ADD. So, by like all accounts, manifestation shouldn't work for me, right? Because I give off a lot of bad vibes and can have a low frequency for long periods of time. But it does work because it's flawed. I've read over 100 books, taken the courses, seen the gurus live, but more importantly, I've tested it in my own life. So let's talk about this idea of like attracts like. It sounds good on paper, but it's actually really damaging in practice. Because if like attracts like were really true, then people struggling with anxiety, trauma, or depression, people like me, would only ever attract more pain. And that's just not reality. I've manifested incredible things, even at my lowest points: my home, my relationship, travel, healing, my business, all while managing anxiety and clinical depression and not being able to get out of bed sometimes. So clearly, it's not about being high vibe. And here's the real problem with like attracts like. It teaches people to try to control their thoughts or dismiss them, but your thoughts are just like the symptom, I guess. It's not the source. We actually need to pay attention to our thoughts, not pretend like they don't exist, because our thoughts and emotions are actually data. Our inner compass is screaming at us to like pay attention to this. There's like alarms going off. We don't change by painting the fence while the house is on fire. We change by acknowledging the fire and then figuring out how to put it out. Another important point is that it's not your thoughts that create your reality, it's your beliefs about yourself and what you deserve that do. Because beliefs live underneath everything else, underneath your emotions, underneath your thoughts, underneath your actions. Your beliefs determine what you see. So, like, if you believe that the world is good, then you will see good. And if you believe that life is hard, then you will find very little joy. I like to think of this like a pyramid, and at the bottom is your self worth. It's the foundation. And above that are your beliefs, what you believe about who you are, what's possible for you, and what you deserve. Then come your emotions and how those beliefs feel in your body. At the very top, actually, one of the least important things for all of this is your thoughts. First, okay, so here's the problem. Most people try to start at the top. They like try to think positive and reframe their thoughts, and it works for like a day or maybe a week, but eventually everything slides back to what you actually believe underneath. You can't think your way out of a belief system that says you're not good enough, right? So if like attracts like doesn't work, then what does? It's actually really simple. It's awareness, and then self worth, and then aligned action. We need to be aware of our thoughts and use them to understand ourselves better so that we can turn our liabilities into assets and then take aligned action. When you raise your self worth, your beliefs naturally shift. And when your beliefs shift, your emotions regulate. And when your emotions regulate, your thoughts and your energy follow. So we go this way, not this way. One of the most toxic misconceptions of raise your vibration is the very real fear that if I have negative thoughts, then I won't be able to have all of the things that I want. But that just isn't true. I mean, I wanted to, like, seriously, through all of 22 and 2023, but I was also creating an incredible life the whole time. And so I was kind of thinking of changing my thoughts or whatever, but really, okay, so I did the whole thoughts to the limiting beliefs thing, and that was great, but nothing ever stuck. So, but when I started focusing on self worth instead of forcing positivity, that's when everything changed. That's when I stopped chasing high vibes and started creating peace. I stopped asking for signs and started trusting my own intuition. I stopped trying to manifest things to prove I was enough, which I did for years, and started becoming the kind of person who already was. And that's when everything clicked. So, no, like attracts like doesn't work the way that you've been told. It's not about matching a frequency per se, or at least it's not about maintaining that state 24/7. That's just unrealistic. And it's okay if you're depressed for more than 17 seconds. It doesn't mean that will be your fate forever and the rockets of desire are going to blow up in your face. It's about healing the foundation that creates the frequency in the first place. Because manifestation isn't about like attracts like, it's about becoming someone who finally feels safe having what she's been asking for.